Hello, everyone. I am doing some live coding today to get a little practice with agents. I have been away for a few weeks recovering from a surgery, and now I am back and ready to try some new stuff. So my goal today is to build an agentic flow, an agent, and I want the agent to help me manage my LinkedIn. So specifically, there's a few things that I want to manage on LinkedIn. One of them are my invitations. I have 681 right now because I am really out of date on handling those invitations. So that is the first thing that I want to do. And then after that, I could use some help with the messaging and the notifications. Because I do enjoy LinkedIn. I learned a lot from it, and I like talking to people on it about technical topics. But there's also just a lot of requests and things that happen, and I need some help handling that noise. So, how am I going to do this? All right. So, building an agent. There's so many ways we could build an agent, right? I should make like a doc. How do people make docs these days? Google Docs. Ready? Oh, I shouldn't be using Google Docs. I'm at Microsoft. Oh, well, this way I can make it public really easily. So let's see, agent for LinkedIn. Okay. So how to build agentic flows on top of LinkedIn. Okay, we have several options, right? We could use like a LinkedIn MCP server with a tool like Claude, right? And if one doesn't exist, we can build it. And the nice thing about that is that then I don't have to make any UI, and I get the UI for free, and then I can combine it with other MCP servers. But there are drawbacks, like notably security. The MCP server might be able to do more, can do more than I necessarily want, and like harder to customize, right? Okay. Another approach would be to use basically like computer use with an LLM, right? So there's various tools. There's like browser use. Browser use. There's a computer using agent. I think that's from OpenAI, right? Basically like tools that are designed to make it easy to, interact with websites from an LLM. And that, the advantage of these tools is that we're working with something that has a website, and the web browser is basically the generic interface for interfacing with any website. I have tried out browser use. I think I've also tried out CUA, computer use agent. Both of them I found a little hard to get started with. And I think the approach that I would take is to use, Playwright direct Playwright calls. So Playwright, direct Playwright calls, right? Playwright is basically a browser automation agent. It's what I use for running end-to-end tests. And I know how to do things with Playwright, and I can be just really specific and say, okay, I want you to open this and go here and click this button and yada yada. So that can work. That could work really well. So direct KWAL calls, and then send things to LLM only when needed. So this sounds really compelling to me because I know Playwright. I get a lot of control, and I can only use an LLM when necessary, which is a general best practice because LLMs can do a lot, but they can't do everything. And, it's nice to only use them when necessary. Finally, there'd be the approach of LinkedIn API calls, right? And then, same thing, send results to LLM when needed. Now this, the API, that to me is really compelling because it's, no browser flakiness, faster since we're not waiting for website to load, and can be, really specific about allowed API calls. And yeah, and that, so I like that because I generally like working with APIs. It can be a little hard to get started with APIs. I also don't even, I assume there's a LinkedIn API. I actually have never used it. And I don't know whether it's free and, what the rules are. We also have a suggestion from Robbie to use the Playwright MCP server, which is a great call. I do love that MCP server. It is the one that, that one of the few MCP servers I do actually have installed, I think in GitHub Copilot locally. So that's a good point, is that we could do, we could do Playwright MCP server, maybe with like a Python agents framework that, so use a Python agent that understands MCP. Okay. All right. Well, these are the ones that I'm most interested about trying out. Given that Robbie said Playwright MCP server, we could try that out. So, and then we want to use, we want to do some Python, since I'm all about Python now. And there we can use an agent framework that understands MCP. There's like at this point, most of the agents frameworks understand MCP. So we have a lot of options there. I'm inclined to use either Pydantic or OpenAI agents. I don't know if anybody has if Robbie has a vote, anyone else has a vote, right? So here's the OpenAI agents SDK MCP, or we have the Pydantic. I've used that one as well, and they have MCP support. I don't remember if I've even tried. Here we go. Can't remember if I've even tried them personally, but with MCP specifically, I've used these frameworks for other things. But they both have support, and we could just point them at the server. So what I'm going to do is just start from an existing. Let's see, existing demos. Okay, so this is a repo I have that has a bunch of agent framework demos, and it has OpenAI agents, and it has the MCP server. It has Pydantic and whatnot. So I'll just make a new repo based off this, or I could just make a branch of it. I guess I'll make a branch of it. Let's see. I probably have this open locally. Let me open this up. Let's see what I called it locally. A lot of times my repos are called something different locally, because when I first start a repo, I have all these ideas about what the repo is going to be. And then, over time, sometimes they stay the same, sometimes they change. All right, here it is. And oh, wow, I've got a lot of changes in here. I was probably demoing a bunch. So I'm going to go ahead. Can I make a new branch just out here? Actually, I'll just go here, do settings. We'll just do it in a, normally I would use a code space. I don't know if Playwright should work in a code space. We might run into some issues using the Playwright server for, my own LinkedIn inside the code space. So that's the only reason why, why I'm not doing that. Let me just new branch. All right, this is what I'm going to do. New branch and LinkedIn agent. Okay. All right, here's my branch. And then I'm going to, I guess what I'll do is just, I don't know what all these changes are. There's quite a few here. Pamela's changes for some reason. Okay, that's good. That's a good name. Okay. Adding unknown changes. I could also do get stash save, but then you kind of forget that you have a stash. So I like to use a branch to try to remember that, try and be a little more persistent in case I realize like, oh, I like really want those changes. So I can go back later and check on them. Of course, now it's running the pre-commit, but I can do a -n. Okay. All right. So now let's do a git pull. And I want to pull origin, LinkedIn. Let me make this bigger. LinkedIn agent. Okay. All right. Sure. Adding unknown changes. Oh, and I committed that to this branch. Okay. All right, let's just run one of these and see what we got. So we have, let's look at the OpenAI basic one. What's in the .env? All right, so we've got an Azure endpoint. Let's see if that's a currently deployed endpoint. Otherwise, I can also use GitHub models. So let's try running this one here. All right. And it's just working on authenticating me to Azure. But we could use also GitHub models as well. I've got this on, I put this on extreme debug logging. That's why we're seeing so many things. So I'll change that to info level so we don't have to see as much stuff. All right, and it doesn't like that one. That's fine. What we'll do is just change this to GitHub. And then once we change this to GitHub, I just need to set a GitHub token. So I'll set a GitHub token. To do the GitHub token, I just have to get one off of GitHub. So we'll go here and go to settings and go to developer settings, personal access tokens, fine-grained tokens, generate a new token. Of course, we're going to verify. And I got to find the right auth app because we have a bunch on here. Okay. All right, let's try this. Okay. And LinkedIn agent test. All right, now what we have to do is give it permission to use models. So we're going to say read only access to models. Okay, great. All right, got the token. I'm going to copy it and I'll have to revoke it after this since you can see it. And there we go. Okay. Of course, all it does is give you see how fine grained that was? The only thing that token does is give you read only access to models. So not a huge deal if you use it since you're basically just going to be using up my own, my own rate limits. But there we go. Okay. So we got a nice response. Let me set the logging to even lower. Okay, so we got back a response. It looks like this is translating. Yeah, you're a Spanish teacher. Help the user learn Spanish. Only respond in Spanish. Okay, great. So that is working. Let's try one that is using tools with OpenAI agents. This one is also set to extreme levels of debugging. Let me change that back up to morning so we don't see as much. Getting weather for Seattle. And stop on first tool. Okay. All right. So now let's go to the documentation and see how we run with MCP. So we want to use the MCP server. Okay, so we're going to run this. Do they have a full example? So static block list. Oh, interesting. So you can you can say exactly which tools they're allowed to use. That's really nice. I might do that. Like if there was a LinkedIn MCP server, we could say, which LinkedIn actions. I haven't looked into whether there is one. Okay. Let's look at a complete example. So the most similar one would probably be the file system example because it's a local server and we're going to be doing a local server. All right, so let's try this one out here. Okay, Python file. All right, and let's see, what is this doing? MCP server, run server, agent. Okay, there's the agent. Okay, so I just need to hook this up with my GitHub models. And we'll say OpenAI MCP. Okay. And we set up the agent. And we're going to say model equals this. Okay. Model. Just going to add some more imports up here. Okay. All right, so we set up our model configuration. In the run, we create the agent. The agent's going to use the tools. It gets an MCP server. It gets an OpenAI chat completion models with the current model name, which it's getting from GitHub models right now. First, it's going to list the files. Then it's going to ask, what's my favorite book? What file system is this on? Okay, ask a question that reads, then reasons. Look at my favorite songs. Wonder what file server this is meant to be used with. Okay, so we see server file system. Interesting. All right, let's just try running this. I'll just take run. Okay, sample files. Well, yeah. Oh, I see. It's looking at sample files. All right, I guess we'll download their sample files just so we can verify. It's always good to make sure that your sample is working. So how can I? All right, we'll just recreate this. Those are not my favorite. These are not my favorite books. I'm going to redo this with my own favorite books. File, new file, books.txt. Actually, one of them, some of these are my favorite books. They have, what was it, 1984? Wrinkle in Time. That was my favorite book growing up. Little Prince is pretty great too, of course. Okay. So predictable. Cities. This one I disagree with for sure. New York is gross. Okay. All right. And favorite songs. All right. There's actually some pretty good ones here. Okay. Songs.txt. All right. This is kind of fun. All right. Let's try this out again. Running, read the files and list them. Okay, so this file system server is only running on this directory, which is nice. That means it's not going to just be able to look at the whole, in theory, it's not looking at the whole system. Of course, as soon as you run anything, it can look at whatever it wants. Okay, so it says, here are the contents of the file. So it got the files, it got the contents. It's checking what's my number one favorite book. And that should be doing running, starting agent, input. It's surprisingly slow because I wonder how many calls it's making to the LM in order to figure that out. Starting agent is the agent. Is it doing any additional tool calls? See, this is why I always end up adding on higher levels of more verbose logging so that I can see exactly what calls are going over the network. So while that is running, let's go ahead and check out the Playwright MCP server. Okay, so the MCP server is quite similar to MPX server. Oh, and we did get the result here. So let's see. It said, "What's my favorite song? Favorite book? Kill a Mockingbird. Favorite song? Wake Me Up. Base your list. Wake Me Up. Yeah, interesting. It's okay. Yeah, look at my favorite song. Suggest a new one. Great. Okay, so that is now working. Let's go ahead and try Playwright. So this one is saying -y. Let's just explain. Oh, there we go. Explain. I think that just means -y means that it's going to agree to all the prompts. Answer yes to any prompts. Okay. All right. So we can either remove it because, the Playwright docs don't seem to think you need it. Maybe we'll remove it and then see if it feels like it needs it. So we have MPX, Playwright MCP latest. Okay. It's got all the instructions for all the different places to install it, but not with frameworks. And then we'll say, Playwright example. And we are not doing tracing, actually. So tracing is, OpenAI lets you do tracing, but typically I turn it off. So let me say set tracing disabled. I think I already set it off. Yeah, it's already off. So that simplifies the code a bit. Current dir. Okay, we don't need that. Okay, so we're creating a Playwright server via NPX. It's running locally. Gonna run the server. And then what do we actually want it to do? So use the Playwright tool to interact with the LinkedIn website. You can, okay, let's just try that. And there we just got the server. So the first thing we want to do is open the LinkedIn website and maybe count the number of network requests. And we'll just put that as the message. All right. Moment of truth. MCP. Boop, boop, boop. I'll just use the play button. That's faster. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Ravi, for the suggestion of the Playwright MCP server. Let's see how this works out. Okay, so NPM says that the package wasn't yet installed. It's going to install it. Ooh, that's really interesting. Playwright opens in a Playwright defaults to opening in not your normal browser. Okay, let's see if we can remember. Well, we're trying to use LLMs for things. So let's see. Playwright is opening in my non-default browser. Can I get it to open in my default? And it's probably even an option here. So let's see, browser. So we could try MS Edge. Now I don't know whether it's going to open in the same, whether it'll open in the same one, but we can try that. Okay. Use the default. Interesting. Of course, it may have hallucinated this. So, but it may not have. Let's see. I kind of think it might have hallucinated it. There's the browser path. All right, so let's try what the docs say. So we're going to add in another browser, -- browser. Okay. browser, MS Edge. Okay. Oh, you know what's so funny? It's I said count the number of network requests, and it says it issued 34 network requests during navigation. So it was counting. So I should say, what does it look like on the actual LinkedIn website? My network invitations. Okay, and count the number of invitations on the my network page. Okay, let's be more specific. Okay, that does look like Edge. However, it is a Edge that doesn't have my cookies, so it's done like a new instance of Edge. Yeah. Oh, and look, the LLM says you must log in. Please provide login details. So let's see. Browser agent. How do we get it? Disable the sandbox. I wonder, would it be the sandbox? It could be sandbox because I presume a lot of people are using the MCP server for this sort of thing. User agent. User profile. Oh, regular browser default. Okay, persistent profile like a regular browser. Oh, so what you can do, all the logged in information will be stored in the persistent profile. You can delete it between sessions. Okay, so maybe that's the suggestion, is that we specify user data directory. Interesting. Okay. I'm just curious. I just want to try the no sandbox just to see what that does. But otherwise, it looks like we need to, it looks like I'm going to have to log in. That's my guess. I also just want to see, let's see, log. Okay. No, that didn't do it. Okay. So I think that we'll need to do logged in. There we go. So this is the classic thing, right? You can't automate the browser that uses default browser as per Chrome Edge policy. Okay, well, that's a good policy. All right. Okay. So then we need to use the user. I think we need to use the user directory. All right. So let's do that. Okay. Already learning a lot here. So let's do the user data directory that it recommended. All the login, you can delete it between sessions. All right, so can I just keep it? How do I just keep it open? I want to keep it open so that I can log in. Playwright browser, keep open. Okay, all right, so we need to, how do I, let me just like put in, let me just import. All right, let's try this. Let's just tell Playwright to do it. Message equals open the browser and keep the browser open. Pause, sleep. Let's try that. Okay, result. All right. Trying to see what we can do. Otherwise, if I can't do it that way, what I'll do is import the Playwright package. Okay. All right, it's logged in right now. Is it going to stay logged in? Ah! All right, we're going to import Playwright. Import Playwright. Just tell it. Okay. Add code that uses Python Playwright package to open a browser in MS I mean, we can just do Chromium. It doesn't matter at this point. Now that we're and pauses. So now we can do, now, given that we found out that we can't, we'll never be able to automate our main browser because the browser won't let us, which is good. Go browsers. So I need to log into whatever I want to log into in the Playwright browser. All right, so what do we got here? Open browser with Playwright, go to page, browser opened, press enter, continue, love it. All right, let's try this out. Chromium launch headless false, okay. That looks good. Do I need to install Playwright in the M's? Yeah, probably. Add this to our requirements here, Playwright. We might have to do a Playwright install afterwards. Okay. LinkedIn. Yeah, and then we have to do Playwright install Chromium. Since we're not, for this one, we're going via our Python virtual environment instead of going via the node server. So we're doing it a little more setup here. That's already good. That's set up. Okay. And there we go. That looks good. Looks good, Copilot. Let's do it. It's still working. Okay. Oh, it did some weird stuff. It just, why did it put it at the top there? Silly. All right, it randomly put its function in two places, one straight in the middle of the imports. There we go. Fix that up. Okay, that looks better. I don't know why I got a little confused there, but it's looking better now. And there we go. Looks good, looks good, looks good. Maybe I'll just, I get a little impatient sometimes waiting for Copilot to finish working. All right, you know what? It looks great. You're done. How do I do, oh, wait. Pause. That's fine. I'm just going to keep the changes. Okay, that look good. Open browser Playwright. And let's go ahead and run this file. Okay, looks restart and download. Executable doesn't exist. All right, it doesn't see Chromium. Let's just make sure that it installed it in the right environment. So we do Python install Chromium and then -- with depth. Can't open file. Oh, sorry. Python -m Playwright install Chromium with depths. Python -m Playwright. You can see how many times I've done this. Okay, it's downloading Chromium for my ARM64 Mac. Okay, so that should do it. Now let's try examples. OpenAI MCP.py. Let's try this out. Opening browser with Python Playwright. Now it's Chromium. Press enter, continue. Okay, great. So now what I'm going to do is sign in to LinkedIn and get my info. Okay, LinkedIn. Oh, blind. Don't go on blind. It's a bad idea. All right. There we go. Password. Keep me logged in. All right. Is AI eating your coding skills? That's a great question. James is great. You should follow James Reagan on LinkedIn. I like all his posts. Okay, so there we go. We are logged into LinkedIn in this Chromium. The hope is that this profile is going to get stored in the user data directory and that Playwright's going to reuse it. So let's try it now and see if that's the case. So we close the browser and now, okay, it says we are not logged in. All right, so that was LinkedIn Chromium. All right, so let's go ahead and look at that documentation again for Playwright. So it said persistent profile. All the well, you can do it with persistent profile default. It's located at the following, and you can isolated. So we didn't specify isolated. So I would assume that it would stay open. But let's look at that issue again, because maybe, maybe there's something logged into sites. You need to log in to the browser profile, navigate to page using MCP, login. Let's make sure maybe there's something slightly different about the two browsers they're using, since one of them I did via Python, the other one I did do the MCP server. So let me just try, do I have the MCP Playwright here? Extension, Playwright, Postgres, Azure. Yeah, I have the MCP server here. So use Playwright to open the browser to LinkedIn. Okay, let's see. No, I want you to literally. It wants to write the code. No, use the Playwright MCP server tool browser navigate to open LinkedIn. Otherwise, we'll go to Claude and do it. It's getting a little confused about whether it wants me to write the code or okay. No, don't do that. Stop. Okay. Undo. Or just continue. All right, let me go to Claude. Or even just go to a different thing here. Okay. Open, use Playwright MCP browser tool to open LinkedIn. Let's see if it's going to try to do that or great. Okay, so this is what I wanted, is that it's trying to use the tool. So I'm going to say continue. So interestingly, that opened up a different Chrome. Okay. See how this Chrome, what is it running it with? Navigate code, URL, page.open, page title. Why is it taking a screenshot of the page? That's funky. Okay. Let me try signing into this one. And is it going to keep the browser open? Let's see. How many different Chromes can we open up here? All right. Yes, GitHub Copilot Chat's now open source. Woohoo. Okay. So that's open there. Let me try running again. Please open LinkedIn again. Try and see if we can get some persistence here. The upstream model provider. Oh my gosh. All right, let's go to 4.1. Try again. Oh, maybe because of the launch that we did today. Maybe everyone's downloaded VS Code and is using Claude. Or maybe Claude's having the launch. All right, let's just try this. Running navigate. Okay, this is promising. We are logged in again here. Okay, so I like that. Now let me try it over here. I'm going to undo this, cancel. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and see what browser it looks like it's opening. Oh, and I don't want to bother with this thing here. I just want it to Yeah, I want to see what browser it uses. Okay, this looks promising. Yes. All right. So it's opened up the web page. It is what's it doing? It went to the network tab. That's exciting. And request body too large. All right, well. I wonder how much it sent. So it says the max size is 16,000 tokens, max size 16,000 tokens. This is GPT-4o. So we'll go ahead and change the model. All right, so I'm gonna ditch that thing we added here. So basically what we had to do, let's see, like documentation, first open up the browser using the npx MCP server, like with Claude Copilot. Okay, and log in. Okay, all right. So we had max request 16,000 tokens. I guess it sent the really big web page. That would be the other drawback of doing everything with web page manipulation versus the API, is that web pages can be really big, especially these ones. And Playwright might default to grabbing the whole HTML. Really, in this case, we only need part of it. We only need to send, a very small part of it. So maybe we could get more specific here too and say, like, open the link to it and say, navigate to the My Network page. Look at the look at the maybe like look at the div with invitations and at the top, and count the number of invitations. Okay. But the other thing we can do is try out a different model. So we're doing GPT-4o, and I'm using GitHub models. So I don't really remember offhand what the different token limits are. We can go ahead and take a look, but I'll try it with Mini now. And then I'll go to the GitHub models marketplace and see if we have some details here about the limitation. So you can see here input tokens. So it says the input tokens for 4.0 is 131,000 and the output tokens is 16,000. So request body too large. So were they saying max size 8,000 tokens? Oh, it's getting rougher. Okay. So in this case, was it trying to make the input or the output? Self.request or message request body too large. Interesting. I wonder, wait, let's just go ahead and see. Tokens per request. Okay, there we go. Copilot free is 8,000 in, 4,000 out. Yeah, so because we are doing this, so it's interesting that I think that that's kind of confusing. This kind of disagrees with this, right? Just take some screenshots to send to people later. So let's see. Okay, so 8,000 in, that's pretty limiting given how much we're, given we're trying to send whole web pages. So at this point, probably going to move over to Azure. I've got an Azure endpoint. Let me just find, there was an Azure endpoint I was using this morning. So that way we shouldn't have just these lower limits. Okay, let me go look at this one. Azure OpenAI. And get the endpoint for that one. Okay. Change my EMV. Here's the endpoint. Here's the service. We're going to use Azure. I think that's is that my tenant ID right now? Hopefully. Okay. Version deployment. It is going to be, I think it's 4.1 mini I have here. Let's try 4.1 mini. Let's take a look at the deployments. 4.1 mini. Here we go. Or we have, what do we have a bunch of? We have 4.0 mini global. That looks pretty good. 4.0 mini global. Let's do that one. So that's this one. And it is, the model is 4.0 mini. I'm just looking at which has the most capacity. This has 100. That's the highest of all of them. All right. And we're not using embeddings in this one. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and see if I can use my Azure deployment instead and get a little more tokens out of that. Okay, so we're going to LinkedIn. This is like a cool way of just reading all the posts that come through. Okay, feed. No, you're going to go to the network tab. Network tab. There we go. I could just tell it to directly open the network tab. Okay, and it got it. Okay, so it said, all right, so that's working. So it says I have 681 invitations. All right, so the next thing is that I want it to actually do something with those invitations, right? So let's see. Maybe we can just go direct to this, right? So, we want to shorten this up. So open, open LinkedIn invitations manager at blah. And then, and how does this one work? So it looks like it's an infinite scroll situation. Okay, it is an infinitely scrolling page. Look at each invitation. If it is from if it is from a recruiter, count it as one. Actually, if it's from a recruiter, that's the one. Ignore it. That's the one thing that I want to do. I want to be connected with technical folks, and I don't particularly want to be directly connected with recruiters. They can still message me. They can still email me. It is if it is from someone with a technical role who has a mutual connection, accept it. Stop after processing 10 invitations and report whose invitations you accepted. All right. This is where things get a little concerning because we're gonna actually have it. So far, we've only been doing read operations. Now we're going to have it do a write operation, right? Like I'm going to have it actually ignore. So I have the risk that like, I'm going to ignore somebody that I actually know. But let me also say like, and which you rejected. Provide links to the profiles of each person. Okay. Person processed. I really should do a multi-line string here because this is getting ridiculous. Okay. All right, let's see. Okay. All right. Luckily, this is what it got, a low risk situation. The worst that happens is I reject everyone or ignore everyone, as they say. The best that happens is, works perfectly. And, possibly what happens is that, it accepts people I wouldn't have accepted or vice versa. So let's see. Can I watch it? Oh, it's doing stuff. This is so fun. Okay, so it says I accepted some. Accepted. Okay, so it's not, that's interesting. Real estate professional. Yeah, normally I would probably not accept that because I don't really understand our connection. This one I would expect it to accept, but maybe it, yeah, because it doesn't understand if this is a technical role, you have to kind of look through and see. STEM mentor, that's technical. Okay. So is it gonna process anyone else? Let's see. It's only gone down by 2 so far. And I think maybe it's still might still be doing something. I'm not sure. I kind of want to have a more verbose level of logging, see what the heck it's doing. Because it also hasn't provided any output here. Okay. 1-3. Hello. All right, let's see if we can let's increase the logging level info so that maybe we'll get a little more information. And I really don't know what it's doing right now. It could be doing nothing. It could be doing a lot of things. That's kind of what's, a little unnerving about, just using an agent and pointing an MCP server. Like it could actually be running like lots and lots of tools and using up lots of tokens. The nice thing is that it is a little bit faster in this case to use the MCP Playwright servers versus using the API. So let's go ahead and now try it out. So we're at logging level info. And we're going to see as it does a few more things, we'll see what it does. Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to here. And now you can see, so now we can actually see the requests that are going over. We can tell that it is making requests it's making a bunch of requests. Now, I can't see what it's putting in those requests. So it's definitely doing chat completion requests with something, but I don't know what it's, what it's doing there, what it's sending to them. Yeah, it's still making more invitation from, okay. Maybe also, I don't know if it messes with it if I change the scroll. Oh, you know what it probably is? I told it to stop processing after 10 connections. Maybe it looked at 10 people and maybe it just keeps looking at 10 people and trying to process the first 10. Okay. Retry and request to chat completions. Oh, look at that. It's getting 429 too many requests. Okay. So this is actually using up more quota than I have because it's also running it's running a lot of requests quickly. And that's interesting because this one I do have a higher quota on it. I have 100,000 tokens, 100,000 tokens per minute, which is, a decent amount, but it might be sending a very big web page. And this is where I start wanting to use like more of an API. I wonder if LinkedIn, is there a LinkedIn API MCP server? Because the thing is that this Playwright thing is like pretty inefficient to do for bulk management, right? Because, what if it's sending the entire web page every time? Like that's really is quite a waste of tokens. So there's no official LinkedIn MCP server. Is there a LinkedIn API is even the next question, right? LinkedIn API. Sign in with LinkedIn. Because this does work, but it's just it's such an inefficient use of tokens that it feels kind of wrong to use it for a bunch, right? I've only gotten through what, like 10 so far. It would be faster. Like I could also tell it, like I'm also being a little strict, right? I could say like accept everyone that's not a recruiter, right? That'd be faster. But I also wanted to get back the output. So can we do consumer docs? Am I a consumer? The consumers sign in with LinkedIn, share with LinkedIn. Just want marketing tools, talent, learning, plugins. What about just I'm a developer that wants to manage my LinkedIn? Let's see. Marketing tool, community management, nurture community, data integrations. Is there really not a just to develop oh, and you have to apply. All right, there is okay. So there's a LinkedIn API. It does feel like there's a fairly high barrier. Oh, Robbie says, okay, so Robbie is going to get a URL that uses the LinkedIn API. Yeah, it's not really obvious here about whether do you have an established business? No. Is Microsoft established? No, it's not going to work. So not for marketing. Okay. If there's one that we could just sign in, consumer docs. What do we got? API references, people, profile, current members profile, other members profile, person ID. This is all for like OAuth, basically, like OIDC, OpenID Connect. Okay. All right. Now, so this is sending too many tokens. And my next approach would be what I talked about before is let me just go ahead and add this to a commit just to say like, okay, current MCP Playwright integration working, but too many tokens. Okay. And then the next thing to try is to be really, instead of using the Playwright MCP server, because it may not be as efficient I could use Playwright directly, right? So add code that uses Playwright to, basically, I'm just going to paste in what I want to do here, but by writing the code, I'm going to have more control of it. So I'm going to remove the MCP server so it doesn't think that we want to use the MPC per interact with the LinkedIn website to manage notifications. Okay, on agent.run. What do we do? Agent.run, runner.run. What did we do before? I just have to remember. Runner.run agent. Okay. All right, runner. Message. All right, I'm just gonna comment these out. Process the invitation and decide whether to accept or reject it. Okay. And starting agent. All right. Great. We'll get rid of the MCP server. No more MCP server. It was nice, but then nope. Okay, so we're gonna just get rid of that. We don't need the MCP server anymore, so we'll just say run. Here we go. Right. Result, final output. Okay. All right. So no more MCP. And now I'm gonna have Copilot bring in the Playwright package again, the Python package. And we might need to bring back that code I deleted from before that opens up the browser so we can log in. But maybe actually the one that it uses should already be logged in. Let's see. So it should start off with an import at the top. So my idea is that it's going to load this page. It will like get the whole HTML, look at each of these divs one at a time. And well, we can decide like whether we want to do lots of small requests to the LLM or, you know, send multiple at the same time. But we can send, you know, we could just send one at a time. That should be a small number of tokens, right? So imagine just sending this to LLM and say, hey, ignore, accept, right? And we could try that out. We could bulk. If we do the bulk, then we probably want to use structured outputs so that we get back a structured list that says, you know, this person, Eli Besser, accept, Constanta, accept, right? So that's why I want to start just doing one at a time. And then we'll use Playwright in the actual Python code to click that button. And then we'll report back. All right, so process LinkedIn. Okay, we launch, we get a new page, and wait for login to, okay, so the hope is that we're already logged in. Go to invitation manager, process invitations, invitation card, is that right? Does it know? If not, it's fine. We can just look at it and decide, oh my gosh, look at that HTML. That's disgusting, isn't it? I mean, no offense to, like, this is obviously auto-generated, so I'm not like offending actual developers. This is clearly auto-generated. Look at these class names. I don't know if you can see this, but it's like, okay. What we can do, we're going to go to terminal and say Playwright. Look, all my terminal does is Playwright. I was doing this earlier today with my own website, or last week, actually. Okay, so we do Playwright CodeGen, which is the tool that installs stuff. So weird. Why do you not think that they're installed? All right, we're going to go into the folder that we're using, Python AI agents demos. Okay, Python AI agents demos. We'll source that virtual environment and then say Python-m, Playwright, CodeGen, and paste in this page here. Okay. Oh, and this one thinks I'm not logged in. All right, let me try logging in here. Maybe the CodeGen uses even a different, I think the CodeGen might even use a different one. All right, so let's see. Oh no, it better not. No, do not put the password. Oh God, I'm gonna stop recording. Great. I don't want it to, I don't know if it would record the password, but I don't want to risk that. So I'm gonna stop recording on there. And then, yeah, because I obviously don't want to put any passwords in code at all whatsoever. So here we go. Here it is. So now what I want to do is I'll record again and I'll say pick locator. So we'll pick this one. No, let's pick all. Can we pick like all of these somehow? How do we pick each of them? Wow, this is really tricky. Okay. Follows you, invited you. Okay, what about this one? Ignore, accept. Okay, I'm trying to find what will be the generic. No, that's not going to work. We need something that's going to generically work to accept to click on each of these one at a time. LinkedIn has made this quite hard to do, in fact. Let's see, manage invitation, get by text. Can I get this whole thing somehow? Let's see. Assert value, assert snapshot, assert text, get locator. All right, so that's going to be hard because, all right, so we're going to go back to the Chrome console way. So what we can see is there's this component key. So that has a bunch of divs underneath it. And this one, that's okay. Then we have this one has a component key. I don't know where this component key is being used, but it seems helpful. And then each of them has a class that has a component key as well, auto component. I'm super curious what framework they're using now. And then we have pending invitation. Ooh, what is that? Okay. So it looks like, and then what is HR? Oh, there's a horizontal rule between each of them. Okay. Okay, so what we see is this one. All right, we need to select by this attribute. So I'm going to go ahead and say select all, select the children of the div. Here, I'm just going to tell it. Okay, here's a screenshot. We need to select children of, okay, let's try that. And let's go ahead and bring this in. Okay. All right, so I've just shared that screenshot of the view source with Copilot. Basically, it can either decide to select each child by this component key thing. It's a little tricky because you have to do a CSS selector, which is starts with. So you'd have to say component key starts with auto component. And I don't know if that is, I don't know if that's unique across this, across the page or not, but we could say find everything that has a component key starts with auto component or this. Now, this is very flaky because if they change any of this, which seems very likely given how auto-generated all this stuff looks like, then our code breaks, right? And that's why normally Playwright encourages you to do stuff based off of what is user-facing. But I actually don't really see, I think the most user-facing seeing like the thing that's consistent across all of these would be maybe the fact that there's this message thing. Let me try in the code gen. What if we do message? Yeah, it doesn't find anything. There's nothing unique about message. Filter. We could get everything that has the text message. And that might work, right? Say find all the links that have message underneath this like main div. So what did it do? Okay, yeah, it did what I was similar to what I was selecting. There we go. Yeah, this is what I was imagining. So this is the CSS way of doing it. It's not the most stable over time, but I think this should work based off of what I'm seeing. Let me change the model since Claude is getting a lot of traffic right now. Okay, so we go to the invitation manager. We find, we wait for the invitation list to show up. Then we select all of the elements underneath that are invitation cards. And then we start processing, right? So we get the profile information. So it looks like it's getting man, it'd be nice if we had a good way of doing this. So it's a span. All right. So what I'll do is once again, just here's what I'll just go and show it. Like, here's what the invitation card inner HTML looks like. We could also paste this. We don't have to screenshot. Whatever works for you. Okay. Did I do that? Oh. And did I like pause it? Here. There you go. Let me try that again. I think I misclicked something. Get the name and link based off this inner HTML. All right, let's try that. Okay. Let's close that one. Yeah, so you see it has hallucinated a lot of this stuff here, right? Because I don't think there's a span with direction LTR. So we're getting the href. I'm trying to get the LinkedIn profile. Look at it. It would be nice if we had these nice, clean class names. But I don't think we do. A lot of times what I'll do is just paste like the entire HTML, but this HTML is so crazy. All right, but I think that has like sometimes I get the impression that somebody doesn't want their web page to be scraped. Okay. So we're gonna just look for links. All right, headline, title. Okay, here's what job role looks like. Ah, I keep pressing the do it. Do it. Okay, Robbie said he found the invitations API, but is limited to partners only. Yeah, I kind of feel like that. I'm not sure that LinkedIn wants me to be doing this, but I think they want me to be connected to people, and I think this is a more likely way for me to get connected because I'm getting bored of pressing accept, which is very first world problem. Okay, so then we're getting the information profile link. All right, I don't think it's getting the right profile. The headline title. Okay, so this is what the whole. Let me do copy outer HTML. The job tagline should be extracted from this HTML. All right, let's try pasting the whole thing, even though it's really pretty gross. So how would I even do this if I was doing this myself? Follows you and is inviting to connect. It looks like the text always happens after the follows you and is inviting to connect. Oh gosh, no. We can't hard code this thing here because that's not going to work across. No, you can't assume those class names will stay constant. Maybe look for inviting you to connect line. Let's see how consistent this is. It is not consistent at all. Because a lot of these will say, okay, so this person, follows you. Oh yeah, so that's only happens in the ones where they follow you. The other ones, it happens between, just between their name and their connections. So let's get an example of this. This one, okay. So we'll just give it a few different examples. This one has text. I need to connect. Here's a different example where the text is different. Here, let me send it. So in this one, yeah, it's happening between the title, name from the strong, profile link from the p tag with class. Is this class actually consistent? It might be. It might be consistent right now, but this is the kind of class name that looks like it would get updated over time. I really think that is an unstable class name. Can you find the text between the name and the connections info? I think that's always the job title. Okay. Has text. Okay, check for usual. It looks like, and I'm surprised it's not really updating this stuff. This stuff is all made up. This was all hallucinated or maybe based off an old LinkedIn code. Okay, update the mutual connections selector now. Mikhail says, a million devs out there vibe debugging the same hard problems. Yeah, I'd rather not deal with this, but since the LinkedIn API is, is fairly limited, then we have to do something a bit grosser. This is what I would consider like a personal productivity agent. Like, obviously not something I would not put this into production. It's going to be really unstable due to the selectors that we're using here. But it might be, if it's something that I can use that makes my life easier, great. Right. So, we're in the era where ideally we can, once we get used to it, we can ideally fairly quickly, write tools that automate the things that we consider to be grunt work. We all have different interpretations of grunt work. What's grunt for me might not be grunt for you, and vice versa. Yeah. Okay. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to tell it, review the code and see if there are any issues with the selectors. So I don't know if it's really done a good review based off of all this stuff I gave it. And then what I can do is go ahead and put a breakpoint in here so we can check and see what it does. So it says piece with functional. Yeah, as it points out, lots of things here are unstable. And we'll have to see which of these matter for the ones we're doing. Okay. And then, look at it, implemented the invitations. It didn't do this corrected, get updated cards. Yeah, there we go. All right, let's just go ahead and run this. It's been a while since we've run some code. So I've got a breakpoint in here. Okay, there's the breakpoint. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and run it in debug mode. Python debugger, Python file. Okay. So that way we can do step through debugging. I don't know if it's considered vibe debugging if I use a debugger breakpoint, right? It's a little fancier. Okay. Oh, now it wants me to logged in, but we already logged into this one. So why is it? I wonder if it's kind of always, okay, so it's saying launch headless false. Let's see. I wonder if it's always in kind of isolation mode. Maybe maybe it's kind of implemented differently. Timeout, headless, dev tools, proxy, slow-mo, Chromium sandbox defaults to false. New context. Ooh, what is that? New content. It won't share cookies with other browser contexts. Can I have it not do a new context? Instead of new context, can I reuse old context? Basically, I want to do however they implemented the Playwright MCP server. Did they do new context here? Let's see. Well, this isn't JavaScript, so that's not going to work. New context. Okay, so what you can see is that, yeah, when you're in isolated mode, it does browser.newContext, which that makes sense. That means it's definitely not what we want in this case. In this case, we want to reuse the old one. So it must be remembering the context from before. Okay, that's interesting. All right. If browser.context. Okay, so browser context. Okay, let's try that out to see if the browser remembers its context. It seems like maybe that's the case. So let's give that a go. Connection. Refused. All right, let's close some things. Let's close. Let me close this one. And let's see, are we open over here? Oh, we're open over here. All right. Let's try the debugger now. I think that was with the debugger, with the collision. Okay. So it says it's logged in. All right, I will log into this one once and hope that that's definitely not right. And hope that that is going to get saved. Otherwise, I have to look into more about how the contexts work. Okay. And there we go. Now navigating to invitation manager. That's good. Let me go ahead and kind of put this side by side here so we can see. And it's waiting for load state network idle. What is that? Load state returns when the required load state. Oh, it never succeeds. Okay. Yeah, that's probably because it's an infinitely loading page. Interesting. So I don't think we'll be able to wait for that load state. What could we do instead? Returns when the required load state has been reached. Load by default. All right. I've never done wait for load state. I wonder why. Okay. Let's try that one. Because I think the network never goes idle because of just what it's processing in the background. That's my assumption there. Okay. It's making me log in again. So somehow I need to figure out how to reuse those contexts. Navigating to invitation manager. Navigated, found 10 initial invitation cards. Okay, great. So now we can go through this. And let's see if we got a name element. We get the inner text of it. The name is Eli Besser. Okay, so that one worked in this case. That makes sense because it's the first one that we were testing with and getting the stuff off of. Okay, so get the profile link element, get the profile link. The profile link here is the URL, Eli Besser. Okay, that looks good. It starts with HTTP. So we got the profile link, we got the name. Now we're trying to get what they do. So did we get a headline element? Looks like we found something. The headline is, okay, so it actually got probably too much. Yeah, so that didn't work very well. It says verified, follows you, and is inviting you to connect. All right, so it didn't get the right line for the headline. So, or maybe it did. Oh, that is like the headline. Yeah, that was a headline. All right, so the headline is the thing, the very top line. Now we're trying to do the job title, which should be the next paragraph underneath there. So let's see, job title, real estate professional. Okay, great. Now we're checking for mutual connections. This one, connection info today. Oh, that's just the timestamp. It didn't find, basically it didn't find new connections. So that's fine. It'll probably just ignore it. Okay. So now it's checking to see if it's a recruiter and if they are technical. All right. So this is what it considers: technical, engineer, developer, programmer, software, data, tech, code. Okay. Yeah. And it's not going to find any of those because it says real estate professional. Decision is ignore. It's not a recruiter, but they're not technical. They don't have mutual connections. So decision is ignore. Decision is reject. Might as well change that to ignore. Okay. And, oh, this one, it should have said decision equals ignore. There's no reject. It's just ignore. Okay. So that's my bad. It should be decision. So if decision, I guess, can you actually? No, I don't think you ever. I think you either I guess what we could do is say, like, instead of like ignore, we could say like hold, postpone, don't decide, something like that. Decision equals undecided. Okay. And let's say this one, decision. So if decision equals accept, it's going to do that. If decision equals ignore, then do that. Okay, because we need to go down this path. And then otherwise we could have kind of like a pending one, like stuff for me to look at, right? So then it'll still show up. And then we say results. And then we add it to that. Okay. Okay. And then it's going to keep going. All right, let's just go until it gets a bug. I'm sure it'll get a bug at some point. Or maybe it won't. Where's actually, oh, I should open up the thing so you can see what it's doing. Here we go. Here we go. Frederick. Okay. All right. So here we go. Here are the results. And what we got, rejected, accepted, 0. Okay. Rejected, 0, ignored. But I think in this case, our ignore logic was off. So let's say, instead of saying like, okay, now we're going to say ignored. We don't reject anywhere. Rejection's not nice. And then we're going to say undecided. Undecided, ignored. Okay. Undecided. And then where do we get those from? Okay. Ignored. Ignore. Undecided. Okay. I should have like an enum for this, right? Then I wouldn't be having all this redundant code. All right. There's any more, and accept or ignore it. Ignored invitation from. Okay. Process up to 10. All right, we can have it process more of them now. It seemed like it did actually work decently. Profile. So the question is, is it anyone that is in this list that it should have? So, okay, now this time let's have it. Wait, so it was going to actually reject all of those people? So constant, that has mutual connections. So why? Let's go ahead and run it into bug mode another time. And I'm going to log in again. I'm going to figure that out later. I'm kind of excited that this is actually going to work, maybe. Okay, so I'm going to go to the network manager, and let's go ahead and open this up so you can see what it is doing here. All right, so we have the name. We're going to get the name. We're going to get the profile. We're going to get this. We're going to check for mutual connections. And here the decision is undecided. Okay, so that's correct. Let's continue to the next one. Because Constanta maybe, maybe Constanta is not considered technical just because of what's in the tagline. So let's see what we get for the job title. Okay, jobs title is SME providing Fortune 100 life and insurance services. It does say data engineer. It says engineer in there. So that means that Constanta should be considered a developer. All right, and now we're looking for the mutual connections. So this is the connection info. So the problem is that it keeps getting the timestamp. So nth of type 3. So that's not correct. It's not finding the mutual connection information. So what could it do instead? What is it? Basically, we need to find the selector. So we should be able to use a more generic connection because it should just have the text mutual connection. Let's try this. So to find, it's not finding mutual connections correctly. To find them, use a playwright selector based off of finding whatever inner element has the text mutual connection as a substring. So that would be more stable, less flaky than this, very specific, trying to find the third paragraph. And so we always ideally, there we go. So look at that one. So it says star, that means any kind of HTML element. So find any kind of HTML element that has the text mutual connection. And it's doing it inside the card. So this is it's only going to find things inside the card that has a text mutual connection. I do think that should be a better change. So let's go ahead and try that out. And let's see. And I'll go ahead and put the breakpoint here instead, since it looks like the other things are working well. So we'll go and debug again. And I'm getting really good at putting my auth in. And see how I said keep me logged in. All right. Let's open this so you can see. Connection info. Okay, it got an empty string. That actually makes sense. Remember, the first one is Eli, and Eli doesn't have any connection. So we got an empty string. So that's good. So I'll just press play to get to the next one. All right, so this time connection info. I'm hoping it does find connection info. Connection info. So it says star has text mutual connection. Oh, I think it got the entire text. Okay. All right. So it found basically this entire element instead of the like very specific sub element that had it. But that might be okay. So we're going to say if it has mutual connections, that should be true. So has mutual connections is true. Yeah. And then it's going to split the text and try to count it. Mutual count. It says that it has 1,035. So let's see what happened along. I didn't text. Okay, the mutual text was, yeah, that was like way too much. So it did join filter string is digit. Oh, you know what it did? It joined together all the numbers in that text into one number because she has 100 here and then she must have a 3 somewhere and then there's a 5. So we got 1,035, which is quite a few. But that's that's okay. That generally works. Okay, so basically, if we just see the text mutual connections, that's good enough for accepting it. We don't even have to count. We can just say like, oh, if we have the text, great. So in this case, this should be true, right? Because is technical. Oh, why do you think is let's see, is technical headline? Oh, okay, we're gonna do job title. All right, so that should be job title dot lower. And what's the headline? The headline is Just this one. All right, so we don't care about the headline. So it's actually going to be job title for both of these. Okay. And decision was postponed again. All right. Okay, one more time. So let's get rid of the count. We don't care about the count. We're just going to check to see that it has any mutual connections. So we'll just say true. We could count it later, but let's just get it working well here. And start it up again. All right. Network page. Maybe I closed it. I said error aborted. Did I close it without realizing it? Maybe. Let's try that out again. All right. And opening up our Chrome browser. Here we go. I'll try not to close this. Okay, going to the invitation manager. And let's go ahead and, oh, I just got a new connection. So I wonder how that one's got engineer. That should be an accept. Okay, let's try this out. That should be an accept. Let's see, connection info. So it says has mutual connections true. So is recruiter is false. Is technical is true. All right, we should get an accept. Yes, we got an accept. Thank you, Fyodor. So if decision accept, it's going to look for the button with the label accept. Hopefully this is actually a button element and not like a link element. Let me just see. Inspect. Oh man, it's not showing the actual HTML. All right, we'll find out. If accept button, click. Ta-da! Okay, great. Accepted invitation from Fyodor L. And then okay. All right, so I'm just going to play and remove the breakpoint and just play through. Okay, this time we did accept Constanta. We accepted Eric, accepted David, Dr. Frederick. All right, so there we go. I accepted 5 and I get links to their profiles. And then I am undecided. Undecided. Okay. Undecided on 5. So that'll be left for me to decide. And yeah, and that was just for the first 10. So the nice thing here is that we didn't run into any token limits at all. And we could just keep doing this. So let me try processing 50 maybe. I want to see if the logic works for the infinite scroll, right? Like if process count. All right, so let me get the let's change the constant, change 10 to a constant of like num to accept and refactor. All right, here we go. Num to accept, process count break. Okay. Process count. Okay, looks good. And if its process count is less, oh, I did num to accept. This would be easier if I just did. The reason there's so many checks is because I said like, oh, try to accept 50, but I could also just say num to process. Like, let's just simplify by changing num to accept to num to Well, I kind of actually like that it's based off accepting. Okay, we'll just keep it. All right, and let's try this out. I want to see if the scroll works, right? Because what it should do is it should scroll. It's going to sleep. It's going to get the updated cards. And then the question is it going to then know to start off with the one from before? Or is it going to start off at the top for card and invitation cards? I think that how after it scrolls, shouldn't it only look at new cards? Don't you think? So how would I do this? We could maybe keep track of how many we've done before and start a counter there, and then just start at that index after we fetch the new ones, assuming that the indexes are stable. Or you could keep track based off of some like element of the things, like their names, right? But I think probably an index would be okay for this because I don't think it's going to change the previous elements. All right, so what is it going to do? Okay, so it did card ID. Oh, it is actually doing it based off an ID. Well, that's more stable. So it's using a set, which has to store unique things. Checking to see new cards. And there we go. New cards append. Carded new cards. Okay, that seems reasonable. So that we'll only process the new cards. Filter out cards. Already processed card. If await card that oh man. Don't really love all this having to look at the href. But I guess that's correct. Okay, so it's using the href as the it's using the process. It's using the href as the ID. Okay, what if we just do it based off the index of the card element instead? I think it'll be stable. We can keep track of the last process and only process cards starting from that index. Yeah, I think this would be a little simpler. I think this should be okay as long as LinkedIn wouldn't like, as you scroll, like isn't going to insert someone. But also, once again, this is a low risk situation. So like if somebody does get added, maybe we either reprocess somebody we already processed, or we don't process someone that is new. But either way, that's okay because we can just rerun this thing, right? So if index is less than the last process index, continue. So it'll end up just skipping last process index, length invitation cards, and then it's going to get more. All right. Okay, so let me just try running that and getting ready to log in. I'm kind of fascinated that like realizing that with Playwright, you can't automate your main browser, because this makes me wonder, like, what are people using the Playwright MCP servers for? I guess I thought that everybody was using it to automate their logged in user accounts, but now I think they aren't. Okay, so invitation. All right, so it's doing some processing here. All right, so it said accepted 1. All right, so this time it once again only accepted 10. Oh, because I never changed this to 50. All right, here we go. So that looks good. All right, let's try. Okay, let's just go 100. Let's just go big. Let's just do 700. No, I don't know. So what are people using their MCP servers for, huh? What is everyone doing? What is everyone building their personal agents for? This is what I want to know. What are you all doing? Okay. Clearly not logging in 100 times while developing. Oh, Quinn. Okay. 10 initial invitation cards. Okay. And here I can get some ideas of things I need to add, like principal program manager. Oh, also if somebody's at Microsoft. Oh, you can't really tell, but this person's at Microsoft. I know them. Enterprise architect would be like a technical one word we can look for. Cloud solutions architect, technical. Okay, accepted. All right. Going forth. This is awesome. Zacchus. I wasn't connected to Zacchus. I didn't even know that the invite was in there. Okay. And yeah, so to be fair, I don't directly know a lot of these folks, but people on LinkedIn seem to like to connect even if they don't like know you. So I'm happy to connect as long as I think it's a relevant connection. So, technical or existing connections usually means relevant. I'm just seeing if I recognize any more of the names. I could probably just get rid of the headline. I don't think I'm using the headline for anything. I could just use the name. I can see my messages is popping up. So the other agent that I want to make is one that looks through my messages to see if there's something I like desperately need to respond to because I've been ignoring it. And here we go. So I can just sit back here and drink my tea. One of the issues with all this automation is that then I get kind of bored. Like I need more fidget toys so that I can, where's my fidget toys? I don't even have it here. So that I can fidget while I'm, waiting for the invitations to go through. Oh my God, Jonathan Mooser. I know them. Okay. Exciting to actually know some of the folks that I'm connecting with. All right. And I think it may, I wonder if it's gone through 100. It looks like it's paused. Notice we've done all that processing and still have not gotten into any rate limits. Now, given that it's paused right now, it's possible that we have finally reached a rate limit, right? Because the pausing would be if it's retrying. By default, when you get a 429, an HTTP 429, meaning that you're over the rate limit, most of the libraries have built-in retry logic where they will retry just to see like, oh, well, maybe maybe you have more quota now. Maybe you have more quota now, right? So sometimes when we see a long pause in our LLM processing, it's because we've, reached that rate limit and the library code is, going and trying to retry a bunch of times and possibly failing if you legitimately have gone over the limit and there's no more quota for it. Or I don't know what it's doing. So one thing that's really important is to be able to trace what your agent is doing. So the jank way of doing that is what I was doing with just increasing the logging, like changing it to info or even debug level logging. And then you can, see stuff that's happening, like see network request. Better way of doing it is to connect it with an actual, analytics tracing platform, right? So you could use Azure Monitor, you could use Pydantic, Logfire, you could use OpenAI's tracing. There's lots of options depending on your platform, and that can be a nicer way of doing it. I don't know what it's doing. Okay, well, we accepted a bunch. I assume it must be in a retry loop right now. So what I'll do is commit the latest changes. So working now with Python Playwright package, and I'll push this branch. So if you are curious to mess with this code, you can do that. And check it out. Let's see. Here we go. I'm not going to actually add this to the repo. Oh, it has all these changes from before too. Let me just get the link just to this file here. View file. Okay. So this is the crucial file here. Go ahead and post it in the chat. See if we know what's going on yet. Still processing. Okay. All right. Well, I am going to call it here. I'm pretty happy. It's processed a bunch of things for me, and I think I can improve it fairly easily now. I just need to figure out persistent login and some better, kind of logging, debugging when nothing's happening. And then we go, and then I can move on to automating other things. So thank you for joining. Thank you, Ravi, for the tips and for helping us decide which way to take this. There's so many different ways you can build an agent and kind of use agentic flows. And I think that's one thing that's kind of intimidating, where it's like, okay, should I do it this way or this way or this way, right? A reminder, here's the, let me share the Google Doc where I was kind of like deciding. I can just copy a link for this one too. I'll just say anyone with a link can view, copy link, okay? Right, so this is the kind of thought process that I was going through to try and decide how we were going to do it. So what did we do in the end? Conclusion. Okay, so approach number one that we tried was OpenAI agents SDK with Playwright MCP server. And the issue, it sent way too many tokens to the chat model and exceeded the rate limits due to like sending the entire, presumably it was sending the entire web page, right? So we reached those rate limits really quickly. So approach number two, OpenAI agents SDK with direct calls to Playwright Python package. This is working, and to do would be figure out how to persist login so the user only has to log in once, and make sure infinite scrolling logic works, and anything else, maybe more stable selectors, right? The main drawback here is the selectors are not very stable, but we can improve those potentially. All right, so that was the process for this agent, and yeah, so I learned a bunch, and maybe we'll make some other agents in the future. All right, everyone, thanks for joining, and I'll see you next time. Bye.